Everybody, how's everybody doing today? Welcome to my photo editing live stream where you can submit your images and I edit them here live. Hopefully submitted them before the stream started, so if there's time, you can submit one maybe during the stream and I'll see if I can get to it. But thanks everyone who submitted their images so far. Today I'll be using DxO's new Photolab 8. It's the new version they released last week. I really like it. It has some really nice, for me anyway, workflow upgrades. There's also been some improvements in the denoising algorithm. So I think it's a nice upgrade. So if you're definitely if you're on Photolab 5, you should upgrade to 8. If you're on 6 or 7 and you like what it's doing, it's a little bit of a tough call there, unless you're a very heavy user, like you're using it every day or several times a week. Then I would say even if you have Photolab 6 or 7, it's worth the upgrade. But I'll do an in-depth review or comparison here soon. I just need to get used to some of the newer tools they have. They're ones that I don't use very often. So I have to see if there's really going to be any advantage for me anyway, and then I'll share that with you in the reviews. So good morning, everyone. I see Janice here, Paul, Joanne, Garrett, good to see you guys, and Oswin. If there's anybody new here, just let me know in the chat section. I always like to see new people coming in. And then while you're here, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, all that good stuff. And if you enjoy these streams and find value or like how I edit the images, you can buy me a coffee or make a donation. The links below to support the work that I'm doing here. But I do this a lot, mostly for my own benefit in terms of getting good practice on all different kinds of images, working with different scenes and composition. And it's a lot of fun to see the cameras that you guys are shooting with. I saw a couple of new lenses and cameras that I've never edited before, so that's always fun to see. And without further ado, we will go to the images. And oh, the sound is bad. Okay, let me try and fix this first. How's the sound now? Is the sound any better now? Hopefully it's not clipping and all that good stuff. But if it is, let me know. I'm going to just talk here for a minute. I see a cougar. I'll just talk about some of the images I see. I see a cougar and yeah, a couple landscape images, some bugs, and okay, the sound is good now. Okay, thank you. All right, so let's get started. And let me just check the setting here. Okay, good. So I know what to do next time because sound is, I don't know why. I'm just using like this my old wireless mic. I bought this gosh, maybe 5 years ago. And it was supposed to be the bomb, right, when it came out. But anyhow, it could be something else in the setup. So I have here, let me turn off the chat. There we go. So we'll just start here. And this one here is from Stefan. And this is really cool. It's a cougar. And this was shot on the R7 with the 70-200 2.8. Wow, that's a super lens and setup there you have. So you're getting effective 300 millimeter. And I think I'm just going to crop right in to this spot. Maybe about here. I wish this log wasn't here. It's a little distracting. I'll see if I can brush that out. And I'm sorry, one second. Shoot, I need to uh, I'll call back later. That's kind of an important call, but if they call back, I might have to answer it. But if they don't call back, I will go with the stream here for now. Um, so yeah, I think I like the framing of the trees here. So I'm gonna crop in. I like the water, believe it or not. I like all this information because animals tend to uh, always be by streams. So I like to capture that information if I can. It's just a little bit out of frame. So let me just apply my basic preset, and all that does is like optical corrections and applies noise reduction. Maybe if I do a vertical, that's not bad. And then I'll see if I can, I doubt it, but I may not be able to get rid of this log. I'm gonna try. Okay. Actually, I like that. It's not perfect, but it looks good. Okay. And then let's do a gradient on the highlights here. So I'm going to move this eyedropper to one of the highlights, and let's pull those in. Let's go up a little bit higher and tighten up the luminosity mask because I don't want to affect the shadows down here too much. And maybe just an exposure. I'm going to double check something. Ah, I see what I'm doing. Okay. So let me try this a different way. I'm going to raise the highlights, but then pull the exposure down. Now I'm just losing detail here. If we can just clean this up a bit. Okay, let me see. All right, let's do this a different way. I don't like the effect I'm getting here on the rocks because there's a lot of highlights down here too. Uh, Let me just use control points instead. And we'll just bleed them down just a tiny bit. Yeah, that's better. Okay, that's all I wanted. They was just the light here was just a little bit too strong. And then let's go to a global and just do a global pull like this. And then I'm going to just give this cougar a little bit more light locally. Tighten up the chroma again. And the luma. And we'll add back in yeah. Actually, maybe I'll back this off a bit. Okay, good. And then let's give him a little more warmth. Right? Or her, whatever. And then from here, I'm gonna add some light in this back area. As you can see, I like to do local adjustments mostly. Just subtle hints of this. Just a slight push in the shadows. I just like the way it's framing. And then one more for this green. These little green spots in here. Let's tighten up the chroma a little bit. Okay. We'll just give it a slight push. Like so. Maybe a little more on the shadow side. There we go. Some up here. And yeah, I'm going to lighten this up, but then I'm going to add a little vignette just to just a slight. There we go. All right. I think I'll call it there. So we'll just do a before and after. And actually, what I'm going to do is let me just export this to the folder so we can see all of the optical corrections and sharpening that DxO D prime XD2 will do. But I think composition wise, I kind of like the vertical a little better. And I'm going to, because like I said, I always like to see the stream whenever possible. So there's just a little hint of it here. All right, so we're going to compare this to, and let me reset. Okay, so here's the original image, and I'm going to punch in just so we can see how we did here. That looks good. So what you see I've done here, if we back off, I made the cougar stand out a little more against the background, and I maintained all the information that I wanted to share in this image, and got rid of this pole. So there's the new edit image. I think that looks really good. Excellent picture. Really lucky to see a cougar. I wish I could see one at that distance. I wouldn't want to be any closer. Okay. Assuming that's a cougar. Great shot there. See what we got here. Have a mill of some sort. Looks like they have some events going on. So I'm going to do some optical corrections and some perspective corrections because it's a little bit crooked. Let me see what a perspective does to it. No. I do need to straighten this. I think I'll just do it manually. I do a lot of architectural type photography, so whenever I see um, perspective distortions or horizons aren't straight, it always gets to me. So there's that. And I'm going to zoom and make sure I got my line straight. Move it up a little bit. This one's a little bit trickier. Because, these old structures, sometimes the buildings are just not straight. They're crooked because they've been sagging for hundreds of years. I think that's good. Ah, that's better. Okay. Compositionally, I don't want to include this building here on the left if I can help it, or minimize that. Add some light. The light's coming in here from the left, it looks like. It's a cloudy day, so sometimes it's hard to see, but it looks like, yeah, the light's coming in from the left. It feels like, because a lot of times when it's a cloudy day, the contrast is low, and I try to exaggerate the lighting, but man, that light is really soft. I don't see a single shadow. All I can tell is that there's light here coming in from the left, as far as I can tell. Maybe a little from the top. Yeah, right. It looks like maybe about this way. Okay. Ah, all right. Before I do any crops, I'm gonna just see about doing some works on the cloud. Maybe, let's see, should I shift it cooler? No. A little warmer? No, I think we're good on the white balance. Okay. If I just darken it a bit, about a third of a stop. Okay. And lighting wise, I'm going to try and exaggerate some of I'm just going to push the Luma mask a tiny bit and the chroma mask. Okay, and then the direction of the light is roughly this way. Far as I can tell, I could be way off, but I think that's about right. I'll do that and a little bit more clear view. Okay, so if I turn that off, turn that on. Okay, let me smooth it out a little more. All right. You can tell when I'm concentrating because I get really quiet. uh, okay. That's not bad. Maybe if I warm that up a tiny bit there. And then in the opposite direction, And I'm going to stay in the shadow areas. So I'm going to move the eyedropper to a shadow area. And let's do one more for the highlights. Kind of the same direction. I want the highlights this time, maybe right in here. Tighten up the Luma mask. It's not quite. Okay, I think that's good. And we'll just push. Let me go back to this one. And then we'll cool it off a tiny bit. Maybe. Just a hair. But this mask, the highlight mask, I want that to be warmer. Okay. All right. Now, I'm doing the crop last on this one because I wasn't quite sure how things would look. I don't need a lot of grass. Wow, this is the Canon R50 with the kit lens. Really nice little setup. Compact, go everywhere. It's like a great everyday camera. Let me see if that works. I got about 1/3 over here. Tiny bit in here. Now I'm losing some of what's going on. If I get too tight, then you don't get a sense of where this mill is, right? Let's try 16 by 9. That's too narrow. Maybe. Maybe a 3 by 2. I think that works. Let me go back. I'm gonna lower the brightness down here overall. There. Okay. Let me just get a feel for where I'm at. All right. This a little bit too strong. Yeah, that's fine. All right, and then just some touch up, I think. So when it comes to architecture, doors and windows, I generally like to have just a little brighter. It's not too dissimilar from what I do when I have animals or people. I like to brighten the eyes and the face and some of the key features. Maybe on this side. Oh, let me do that one last. Something like that. Yeah. And then let's try. Okay. That one didn't work too well. Switch over to, I bet a luminosity mask of some type would, one of the new tools that DxO has would help me out here. I'll have to learn how to use that. But I just want a little more detail in here. Okay. And one more little touch up in the light. Just some here, some over here and here. And a little bit there. Just a slight bit of brightness and warmth and contrast and a little bit of clear view. And then I see tiny touch of red in here, so I'm going to see if I can just push the reds. Let me expand that a bit. Okay. And then one last thing is, let's see, should I do this? It's just in the brick area here. Then I'm also going to push the reds, maybe. All right. The windows, be just a little brighter. And then I think I'm just about done. I'm just going to get rid of this. What happened? Come on. Right in there. All right, good. Oh, and there's water here. Let me highlight that. So we'll just put a little drop in here. And let's give this. All right, I'm done. So, if we do a side by side, I think that looks good. Let me export this just to give it a tiny bit more pop from the deep prime. And then we'll compare this with this and reset. Yeah, there we go. So here's the original over here. Slight horizon correction, pretty substantial crop, and then a lot of play with light painting using the control points and control lines. But I think that looks a lot better. So if I go to full screen, there's the before, and that's the after. So yeah, I think that looks a lot better. Uh, if I spend some more time on this, and I would spend a little more time like on the rocks or the right in here, and maybe push the shadows over here a little bit more. But generally speaking, this is about 80–90% there. So there's the before. It's very flat, right, because of the cloudy day. But working with where, always try to find where the light's coming from and then try and exaggerate that in your editing. All right. Uh, let me, uh, I need to set up my screens a little bit differently, and then we'll get back to the editing. One second. Okay. All right, we're good now. Uh, great, great. Really, really nice image, I think. Um, if I zoom in, yeah. All right, we've seen this. All right, so let's go to the next one. And I'm sorry, that was from Garrett. Thanks for sending that in, Garrett. Beautiful, beautiful picture. All right, this one here we have the OM5 with the 12–45 Pro. Man, I want that setup so bad. I just have too many cameras. uh all right, so again, a little bit of horizon perspective correction is due, and got some nice water, so I'm going to work with the water, accentuate the flowers, and again, the light's coming in from the left here. It'd be nicer if it was coming in from the right. And it's actually almost directly overhead. If I look at um ooh, this was shot at f10. That's why it's a little bit off here. It's quite a bit of diffraction coming in. Yeah, the light is actually the light. Look at the shadow. It's coming in from the right and going back this way. All right, I can work with that. So your focus point is down in here, it looks like. All right. So I think the intent was to capture this row of flowers. Okay, let's apply some basic presets, and we'll see if we can fix some of the diffraction issues and things too with the deep prime. But yeah, the lighting is really harsh here. Uh, okay, that's good. The auto correction worked pretty well. That's good enough. And wow, there's a shadow here. Lighting here is tough. Whenever it's almost directly overhead, or just, I'm not sure. It's coming in this way just a little bit. What might be better is, instead of working with the light, let's work with the shadow. It's weird that this is lit up. Well, I guess not, because if the sun's coming, we're just gonna have to do it this way. Let's work with the shadows. Just a tiny bit there. And then the water, I'm going to select the water this way. See how we did. Not bad. All right. A little bit of a touch here. Okay. We need some. So I'm going to capture these little streams of water kind of flickering up. So you almost can't see them. Okay. And we'll cool it off a little bit. All right. And then uh let's do some control points on the pinks. So we'll just saturate and brighten those up a bit. Maybe just warm them up a little too. Okay. All right, good. Let me just do a quick. Maybe a little bit more here and there. Okay, and then I want to work with some of the highlights in this scene. A little bit tighter luma mask. And just push that brighter. Oh, why is that? and a little bit here. Okay. Go back to the flowers. Okay. Let me get a feel for where I'm at here. Okay. Now, this sidewalk, this building, and a little bit tighter on the chroma. And just crank up so we can see some of the details. And cool it off a tiny bit. There we go. Then let's add a tiny bit of shadow on this side. A little bit more light on the front. Oh, I don't understand why the image is jumping like this. Let me push. Right. Uh, okay, now let's, again, I had to do the editing before I did the crop on this because I was just not sure compositionally where I wanted to be. But I definitely want to be tighter. I feel like even maybe a 5x4. And I'm not sure. Let me just try. Just brainstorming here on the composition. Balance here is not great. So I think a vertical is a little better balanced. Get a little framing in there, get a line down here. Hmm. Okay, I think that's a little better balanced. So what I'm balancing is sort of like these flowers with the sky, which reminds me, I didn't do anything on the sky. Oh, let's just do. Okay. Let me go here to the blues. See if I can. Cool that off a tiny bit. All right, I think I'm done. Not sure about this flower here. Let me just get rid of this. Okay. And shoot. Try that one more time. All right. Uh in one of these. Okay. Um this is a little bit too dark in here. I think it's this one. Add one more control point. Just push the shadows in there. All right, let me do a quick export. And then we'll do a before and after. All right, there's the new one on the left. There's the old one here on the right. I think that came out good. And what I want to do is let's see how we did on the diffraction. Not bad. Yeah, see how soft this tree is over here? And then over here, DxO does a great job fixing diffraction, which is basically just contrast. and a tiny bit of sharpening, but there's a huge difference here in sharpness and contrast. So that's good. I'm happy with the results there. And I cropped in, but not more than I needed to. Uh, Brought the sky back. And then again, you see how flat the lighting is on this building? That's why I put more shade on the left side of this building, just to kind of accentuate that a bit. And let's do a full screen sort of comparison. So that's the before, and that's the after. So let me zoom in a bit. Oops, too much. So that's the edited one. That's the before. I think that came out nice. All right. Let's I need to take a break here 1 second, and I'll be back in 1 minute. So I will. Because I'm jumping in my. Sorry, I'm back. um, Much better. Okay. Gosh, and the screen's a bit bright too. All right. So let me just take a minute and look at the chat section. This is a good time to break. I've been going for almost an hour here. So let me go up to the top. Oh, Shri is here. Good to see you, Shri. And Darko headed out. Andrew, Jeff, good to see you. Any questions, comments? That's kind of what I'm looking for. And Paul says you just emailed an alternative composition to the 5th image of the tree. Okay, I'll take a look at that. And then Josh says I would rotate the horizon a bit. Maybe. I think that was on the mill, right? It did feel still a tiny bit off to me too. But I think, if I can get about 90% there, I stop. And going through Flickr, and there's a lady doing stellar macro photography on a D650. Yeah. Yeah, there's a great, if you have the 90 Tokina, not Tokina. Yeah, it's a Tokina macro. The 90 millimeters, awesome on the Nikon F mount. I was thinking about getting one for myself. And Jeff says, "Great edit, thank you, thank you." And that was early on. That was, oh no, that was. I guess that was on the last one. And Jan says the red T-shirt. I didn't notice that. And then Marco says the detail you pulled out of that flower photo with DxO is awesome. I didn't even realize the fountains in the water in the original due to the YouTube compression. Yeah, a lot of times when I'm editing here, and how you doing, Marco? Always good to see you. Uh, I'm seeing probably 10 times better edit of the image than you guys are seeing because of the way live streams work. I was trying to think of a way I could share the edited images like on my Flickr account, but Flickr doesn't really have a separate folder. So it's everything's going to show up in my stream like as if I took the photo, and I don't want that to be the case. Uh, but then you could see actually the edited images and how good that looks. Because even when I zoom into like 200%, it's still the YouTube compression's a little rough. But okay. And then there was a comment here. Eric says it shows you don't need a new camera to do outstanding images. Crazy detail on that old camera. Yeah, yeah, lots of great images here. So all right. So let me go back to editing. Okay. Next one here. Looks like we have a TG6. Yeah. Those cameras, the TG series really, when you punch in, you're like, maybe not so much. But think about how far away this is and how small this camera is and the kind of detail. I can count the windows. I can see this is a double door. And this is way, way out, right? And we're pretty much at the widest angle on this camera, 5.5 millimeters. So yeah, this is these are great little pocket cameras. I don't see any reason to buy an old Digicam when you can get a TG6, 7 kind of thing. All right, so this is definitely going to be well. Let me apply basic preset, and I'll zoom in after the DxO D prime, so you can see how much detail we pulled out from a TG6. It's amazing. Because I do a lot of editing on my TG5, and I'm always amazed what I can get out of it. So we'll just focus on the Marina, and we'll do a typical 30-30 split. Where's my horizon? There it is. Just a slight tilt. It's always tough when you have sailboats in the scene because the masts aren't straight up because they kind of go back and forth in the water. So it always makes the horizons look a little bit off. So that's a pretty serious crop. I'm down to about 4 megapixels here out of 12, but we still have a lot of great detail. And I'm going to just go right into local adjustments because the exposure overall is pretty good. And that's the thing I noticed about a lot of my editing these days. I don't have to fix the exposure too often because the cameras do such a great job at metering. Okay, we're going to fix some of this maybe locally. These are a little bit brighter than I prefer. Assuming they're not clipped. No, they're not even clipped. There's still good detail in here. This is maybe a little bit clipped, but not bad. All right. Just push the, I don't want the clouds to be that dark. Okay, good. right about there. Actually, I think I'll just drag this. No, we'll stay in that range. All right. Okay, let's do another control line for the water. Just a very subtle hole, less contrast. I just want to smooth that out a little bit. We'll cool it off. And then just a couple of hits of light in this area. Right in here. And give it a little warmth. And a couple of holes in here. Maybe there, here, here. And the hole. And cool it off a tiny bit. Whenever I'm working in shadows, sometimes I pull the white balance back just a tiny bit just to cool it off a bit. And then the highlights I tend to warm up a little bit. Like right up in here, these are a little bit too cool. So let's do a bit of warmth. And some, it's too much. Maybe slight pull on the highlights and the blacks. Okay. And then let's pull the highlights on some of these whites. Let me drag this there and there. Good, good, good. And then on the boats, see if I can. Let me see if I can just pull maybe this house too. One more there. Okay. And the water. Oh, that was the problem. I didn't move the eyedropper. Okay. Let me see where I'm at. Yeah, much better. It's a little bit too crispy, so I'm going to back off some of the sharpening because I'm working with like less than 4 megapixels. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back because it defaults to +1. I'm going to back this off a bit. Let me use this new loop tool and just see. Yeah, this needs to be backed off. maybe a -1. Okay. Uh, got a little bit of softness here. Let's see if the deep prime fixed that. Yeah, that fixed it pretty much. I'm going to just push it back a tiny bit. All right. And then I need to just touch up in the houses a little bit. This red door, this window, this window, this window, this window. So I'm working on the windows now separately, windows and doors, like I do with all architecture. But since these are like probably just a few megapixels each, um, and let's go to the red channel and just push the reds. Maybe not on this. This one might need its own. Okay, and there's a spot of red here too. All right. And there's no reds in here, so it's okay if I just apply. You can see the little curtains in the windows. So cute. Okay. And then I need one more on the door here. Kind of in its own, because it doesn't need quite as much as the windows did. All right. I think I'm done. Ooh, this door is a little bit too hot. Let's pull the luminance. There we go. Just pull back the saturation. Okay, that's good. Just a little bit of luminance on that one. Okay, I'm done. So let me export this. And we did optical corrections, reset. Okay. So here's the before. Let's do a side by side with. So yeah, 16:9 I think works pretty well. And I just pretty much did 1/3 water, 1/3 landscape, and then, well, the landscape looks like it's about 20% and about 40% sky. So maybe even a little bit tighter crop would be good, but uh, I feel this works pretty well. Overall, I like that. And then let's look at the detail we pulled out from this scene, and you can see really did a nice job. It really pulled all the detail back in here. And again, this image is barely 4 megapixels now over here versus the original was 12. So I think it's amazing. So let me zoom in. So there's the after. Let me get all the way in there. Yeah, that looks good. All right, I'm just trying to make it maximize the screen, so for YouTube's sake. Yeah, we got good detail in the skies and good detail across the marina and the homes. Man, that's a nice marina. I would love to live there. My goodness. But okay, let's go to the next one. Uh, what do we have here? Oh, some mushrooms. Awesome. And this was coming in from Joanne. EM5 Mark II, 25 1.8. What an amazing, amazing combination. All right, just let's do a basic preset and I think a little horizon correction. Um, maybe a little more. And this is going to need some heavy light painting. All right, composition wise though, trying to see how much do I need here. So I don't think we need too much of the background. Okay, that looks straight. Okay, so let's just go right into the light painting. Um, this whole area back here, definitely need to bring that in. But how about warming that up a bit too? And let's push the reds. Ah, there's just not enough red in there. Okay. Okay. Uh, we'll push a little bit in here. Okay. And then the mushroom itself. Let's do a little bit tighter on the Luma mask. And I don't know. Not sure. Okay. That, we have that. No. There we go. Just wanted the leaves to stand out a bit more. No, it doesn't need that much color. Okay. The reason I'm working with the reds a lot is I'm trying to complement the green here in the background. So that's why I kept pushing reds everywhere, but there's not a lot of red. It's mostly yellow in this image. So it's yellow and green. I mean, this tree has some red, but everywhere else, the reds are very, very weak. And we'll do one more and then we'll be done. So let's see if I can just push the greens that might be. There's hardly any green in the front. It's a little bit here. Oh, there's a red spot right here. So let me go over to the reds. All right, I think that's it. So I don't think I need to export this one. Well, I've been doing it. Let me just export it. And then we'll do a side by side. So yeah, there's the before on the right, and then here's the edit on the left. So I just wanted to, again, I'd like to contrast the light against, the subject to be a little brighter than the rest of the frame. And this looks a lot better that it's warmed up a little bit, I think. Normally I like to cool these off, but it's really a highlight. So that's why I sort of even though it's a shady area, it's a highlight in the scene. I made it warmer. And then just a little bit of a crop to have the mushrooms kind of front and center. Whereas over here is a little bit too much foreground. And it wasn't, the leaves aren't that colorful, so I didn't see any reason to keep them. But yeah, I think that looks good. And yeah, nice detail here. So awesome. Okay. Let's see. We have a couple of dragonflies doing it, it looks like. That's weird. So, and this was shot the only one with the 300 f4. Wow, no wonder it's so sharp. Let me do the composition first. I need to chop a little bit off the top. Then let me just check see how we're doing on details. Okay. Not bad. Okay. Maybe just a slight vignette, and that's it. Let me try. See if I can separate these wings a little bit. Uh, this is just the wing shadows, but I'm going to try and just give the wings a little more presence. Yeah, this is going to need. Let me see. Okay, good. Maybe a little bit on the nose. Too much. A bit here. Just a slight push there. A little bit of a pull on the highlights in here. Okay, I think that's good. I don't see much else I need to do. Maybe a slight push on the blues. Let me try that. Because this one has some blue in it, like in between this exoskeleton all the way around. So that blue contrasts the red very nicely. Ooh, it's bleeding over into here, so I can't do it on the whole image. Can't do it globally. I have to do it locally. So let me make a new control point, or actually I can just use, no, let me just use a brush. You don't need a lot of precision with the brush because we're gonna do precision via the um whoops. We're gonna have precision based on we're selecting out a specific color. Okay. There we go. Okay, now I'm done. Um I'll export that one. And reset. All right, so that's the before image. Already very sharp, very well exposed, lots of great detail. So all I really need to do was um, I wanted to accentuate the wings a little more because they're a little bit soft in here. So I just added detail, uh, via clear view basically. And then I noticed there was a hint of blue in this area. So I accentuated that, but and then a slight crop because I didn't like this green area back here. It didn't really do anything for the image. So if we do a full screen before and after, that's the before and that's the after. I think that looks good. Let's do a swipe. I like that. Lots of nice detail in that one. All right, I think Paul said he sent a different angle because yeah, I can see right away I'm going to crop this. So uh let me go to my email and see what he sent. Um I'm gonna download it and enter it here. Oh, wrong folder. Okay. Uh, where is okay, it's very subtle difference. This must be a fisheye, 8 millimeter fisheye or something. Um, but there's the original one sent where the tree is front and center, and this is actually closer to what I would have done because this rock is now not blocking the tree trunk. Because you'll notice here the rock is kind of right on the tree trunk, and you don't get any sense of depth here. But this gives you a better sense of depth because you can see the distance. So yeah, much better composition. So I will edit this one here. So we'll just apply some basic presets. And this is an adapted lens of some sort because I'm not getting any EXIF data. But this is an old EP5. See what the auto brightness does. Um, Not much there. Let's not do that. Just gonna give, yeah, just do that. All right, let's work with local. I got all this, looks good. This looks about right. I need to do some distortion correction manually because this is an adapted lens, it looks like. So that looks good. Uh, okay, much better. So we're going to highlight the flowers, highlight this wagon and this tree, bring out details in the sky. So pretty straightforward edit. Compositionally, I don't think I would change anything at this point. I like the original composition, I was definitely going to crop. But this one I don't think really needs cropping. So let me get rid of this one. Okay. And there is some nice warm light hitting this tree over in here. And here and here. A little bit over here. And let's warm it up even more. And let's cool off this side a little bit. And then it's a little bit too warm. I wonder if I can, might need a separate, yeah, I need a separate control point. I want to work on this tree trunk a bit. Clean up the luma. And here. Probably a brush would have been better, but it's just a few clicks anyway. Oops. It's not a trunk. This wagon. Maybe this fence. Okay. And that one. Really need so a little bit more precision, but that's good. All right. Just switch over to a brush. What the heck is wrong with my brush here? See. I think we're okay. Then just a slight pull in the reds here. Okay, now let's do some on the flowers, and then we're almost done. Oh, this is the 9mm body cap lens. Okay, that makes sense. I was just reading the comments. I'll come back to the comments shortly. Okay, so let's just focus on the yellows. There we go. Maybe shift them a little. No. That's good. This is a little bit too strong now. Ah, better. Same thing here. These need to be smaller. Okay, better. Uh, let's just push the exposure up a bit. Stop there. Add a tiny bit of vignette. Ooh. That's not working. That's not working. All right. Maybe just do it this way. Just fix the shadows in here a bit. Hmm. I don't want to delete that, but let me just pull it back like that. All right. Uh, okay, this one. Okay, good. And then one more. This one here. All right, I think I'll call it there. Export that. Okay, and let's compare it. All right. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Basically, we just pulled the shadows up a little bit selectively, increased the saturation on the yellow flowers, but the reds were already pretty strong, so I didn't really mess with that. And then the sky, just brought some detail back from that. Um, yeah, I like how that came out. And you can see the tree trunk a lot better now. This tree trunk's still a little bit too bright, but I would go back and darken this a little bit more. But I think other than that, it looks really good. Ah, okay. Let's do the next one. And thanks, Paul. You like that edit? Okay, cool. All right, this one here is from Roger. And, oh, sorry, I think I see a question here from Eric. Can I stack image and in the final image? It's raw file to submit. I know this being most of my work revolves around stacking, but I'm unsure. If you stack in camera, you're going to get a JPEG, I believe. Yeah, I believe it's a JPEG when you stack in camera. So it's better to capture the raws, stack it in Photoshop or whatever, like Picolay, whatever stacking software, and create a TIFF image that can be edited later, or edit one of the stacked images, apply that edit across across all the images, and then stack them, and you can export a JPEG, and that'll be your final image. So you can do it a couple of different ways. Just takes a little practice and what workflow you're most comfortable with. But it's like when it comes to stacking, it's like 6 of one, half the other, in my opinion. There's lots of different ways to stack images and edit stacked images and layering. You just have to come up with a workflow that is logical to your brain, and then you'll get and then do that consistently, so you can get consistent results every time you go to do stacking. And consistency is always, the key to life, in my opinion. Uh, okay, so it looks like we're under a bridge here. And this is more about geometry. So I see some half circles and rectangles and a couple of triangles. So there's a triangle here, and then half circles here, and then all along down in here, rectangles with, lines cutting. So This would let me just apply basic preset. This is a tough image here because we have a lot of geometry that, I bet a LUT would look good on this. Um, I'm just previewing some of the LUTs here. That's interesting. But I think black and white's the way to go. So, I'm gonna go with black and white because I was thinking there's sort of this blue and orange, right? Sort of your cinematic colors, but it's less emphasized up in here. And because I'm dealing with geometry, I want consistent color contrast, and I'm just not getting that up in here. And that's kind of why this is a little bit difficult for me. So if I go to black and white, then all I have to do is work with the tones rather than separating by color. So I'm going to go with black and white, and then let's try a strong preset. That's good. Let's go in here and add some micro contrast just to give it a little more grit. And pull it there. And then as far as local adjustments go, let me let me just work with this tubing like that. I'll do a gradient, and let me tighten the luma masking. I just want to brighten those beams up a bit. Okay, good. Whoops. All right. Couple other minor pushes here. Pull the flow back. All right. Composition wise, I think I'm not sure. I think just a very, very minor crop might just make this come up here. Hmm, maybe not. So light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. Hmm. Let's do a. I don't know if that's working. I'm just trying to get a little creative here, but huh. Mm. All right, I think I'll call it there. Um, 'Cause I don't think the color. Yeah. Okay. Let's go with this. So I did my best to work with the tones and the shadows. As far as the geometry goes that I talked about, excuse me. Uh I'm having trouble working with so many elements of the geometry in this. Uh because we always like to see repeating patterns and we got plenty of that, but there's no what I'm missing here is we got repeating patterns, symmetry. I mean, like all the rules of composition, but ultimately, I'm having trouble working with this image, and I think the problem is these pipes or this cabling underneath here for me is it's just intersecting all of the interesting geometry here. This picture, I think, would be much nicer if this cabling wasn't here. I get it; it's there. You can't do anything about it. But okay, I think that's what I'll do. Final edit is just work with the tones and increase the contrast, bring out some of the detail, and then a slight crop to get rid of this one last arc down here. Um, just cleans it up a little bit nicer, and then some perspective corrections, right? Whoops. So there you have it. Okay. Thank you, Roger, for sending that one. That was a tough one, composition wise. All right. Let's see. We have one here from Philip. Oh, this is interesting. We have this dude down here smiling. Could be Roger himself. I doubt it. Uh, what's up here? Some gears. What the heck is this thing? If anyone knows what this is, let me know in the comments. I have no idea. Maybe a bridge? Maybe maybe it's a bridge or something. I don't know what this is. Doesn't look like a bridge though, but okay. Let me try this perspective correction is gonna mess it up, I think. Oh, not bad. And then auto crop that. Okay, I like that. And did we oh, let me do this first. Let me apply optical corrections and then do this perspective correction. Good. And let's work with the sky. And then pull the highlights in, add some clarity, contrast. About there. I wonder if this would be a candidate for black and white. Maybe. It's a little bit flat. If I do this, pull the reds in, pull the blues in. Push the greens and yellows. Uh, maybe not, because this is a gray. Hey, not a lot. A couple images here. The lighting's very flat. Man, all these images are beautiful, but there's a lot of lighting challenges here. It's either flat or harsh. And okay. See if that helped the black and white at all. Not really. I think it looks better in color. But I do want to pull these greens off a little bit. Okay. And this has got to be a grayish. Oh, it is blue. So we'll push the blues. Okay. Uh, Push the chroma mask. Stay in the blues. Right. Let's work underneath a little bit. How about this? These corners, this front. Again, I'm just trying to separate the lighting a little bit. Uh, oops. Uh, uh, okay. Let me just check the composition because it's a little bit tight, but the horizon correction demands it. So, okay, I think I'll call it there. So export that out. Do you guys think this is a skeleton, a lion's fast fish, tungu? I don't know what that is, Garrett. And then Paul thinks it might be an elevator for boats. Interesting. It does feel very marine-ish or aquatic-like, doesn't it? But I don't know what it is. So if we do a side by side, um, so initially I thought this was kind of a gray, but I think it's actually a blue. So I just tried to accentuate that and uh, and then straighten it, right? Because it's crooked. And I think that looks a lot better. There wasn't a lot going on in the sky, but at least now we can see a little bit of a cloud behind there. So there's the before, there's the after. And I think we brought out a lot of the detail. Like look at the fencing and the nuts and bolts versus here. I think that looks really good. And that I bet this would be really interesting if you zoomed in on some of the finer details of this whatever this structure is. It would have been you could have gotten several more shots if you didn't already. Several more shots that are very interesting. Like look at this, look at this beams in here. I love these little nuts and bolts everywhere, and a little bit of rust. There's a lot of interesting things about this structure. So if you ever go back there, if you didn't already, try and capture some of the details of this structure. It's really interesting. Okay, last one. And let's see. This is the G9 Mark II with a 12 to 200. Awesome. I'm having gas for a camera, but I'm resisting. Maybe just this would do. Yeah, there we go. Just an automatic correction. So I don't know compositionally if I would change anything. Let's see if we can bring out some of the sky. Okay. And then work on the windows and stuff. I don't know if I really need to do all the windows, but I'm going to do all the windows. Some people there, the door there, this window. All right. And this one and this one. Okay. Good. Um, should probably made these smaller. Okay, looking good. A little bit more in here. All right, that's good. And then the lighting is really, really flat here. Okay, that's good there. And let's cool off the water a bit. What are we at 68? Let's go to 6,000. All right, tiny bit of sun. Let me go back to this. And when I was clicking on these, I knew I made these too large, but now I have to go back and fix them. Okay, close enough. Let's fold these in a bit. Push this side a bit. And then just add some dabs of light here and there. Okay, good. I wish this was a little brighter. Okay. Um, and the last thing is the reds are a bit flat. I don't know. Let me pick this red. I'll make them a little redder, a little more saturated. Same thing with the blues. Just add a touch more there. A little highlight there. Highlight there. Okay, I think I'm done. So let's export that. Yeah, composition wise, it's already really well balanced and captures a lot of, you know, information and story in this scene. So I didn't need to do anything with the crop, which is rare for me, right? But there's the oh, let me reset it and compare to. All right, so this is the new one over here on the left. This is the original on the right. So I think all I needed to do, as you can see, is just make the colors pop a little more and the windows on the architecture and the windows along this boat, like the windows kind of pop now a little bit more on the on these boats and the architecture of the apartments, whatever they are. So if we go to a full screen, um, that's the before, that's the after. So very, very subtle difference. Okay, I have to get the phone this time. Sorry. Let me I'll be right back. Sorry about that. Um, all right, so I was messing around with, when I'm talking, I when I'm jibber jabbering on the phone, I'm just, I'm like doodling on the screen or messing around. But okay, let me look at the chat section, see what you guys are up to, and then we'll call it. Marco is giving some computer advice, looking good there. So I will not add to that conversation because Marco's the expert. And still talking about screens. And yeah, Marco has a hot hardware channel on YouTube and also a website, which has really the website's probably a better way to go for computer information because he dives into all the specs and testing and all of that. But okay, I think that's it. So you guys, thanks so much for sending the images in this week. Everything was awesome. Great pictures. Very challenging in some cases for me. And they're just my vision of what your photos were. But a lot of them, I noticed a lot of images this time. I didn't really have to crop so much. Basically, it was just mostly just straightening horizon or distortion and working with the lighting in the scene, and all of the images were really well exposed. So I didn't have to do a whole lot, but hopefully you guys liked my edits. And as always, thanks for being here with me. I'll be back on Sunday, I believe, for a normal photo chat. We'll talk more about photography and things. And I got to think of a topic. So if you guys uh, leave in the comment section, maybe of this video, uh, topics that you might want to talk about in on Sunday, because it's always hard to think of something for me. I mean, I could just come on and jibber jabber, but then it's always more interesting if we can focus on something and deep dive on it. So, you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you again soon.